Hello. I'll start our podcast when Ben sits the fuck down. Hello, welcome to Always Sides Podcast, where I, your host, Malia, and co-host,
Benjamin,
will be reading and discussing Reddit stories. Our first story we have today is, Am I the asshole for kicking a girl I didn't know out of my wedding? My husband and I, both 27, got married a few weeks ago, and he obviously is still upset about it, but I don't think I was wrong, so I thought I would ask here. We only gave +1s to married couples or if we knew the significant other well. My husband has one childhood friend that was coming out of state to attend. I've met him a bunch of times, but only his girlfriend of 3 years a few times because of distance. I didn't want to give him a +1, but my husband begged since he was traveling and didn't know anyone else at the wedding and he didn't want him to be uncomfortable or have to travel alone. I said fine just to make him happy. Flash forward to the reception. I see him with some girl I have never seen before. I asked my husband what was up and he told me that his friend and his girlfriend broke up a few days ago before the wedding, and since he had already RSVP'd as two, he brought a friend with him. I was pissed since I made an exception for him and I didn't want anyone random at my wedding. I had one of my bridesmaids go to him and tell him that he could stay, but that his date needed to please go back to the hotel. This is a private event. He said okay and didn't make a fuss, but he left with her and didn't come back. I thought everything was fine and had a great night. My husband found out about it the next day and we got into an argument. He's mad because his friend traveled and I kicked him out without talking to him. I didn't kick him out, just his date. Now it's a few weeks later, my husband still brings it up from time to time and his friend hasn't been answering his texts. I kind of feel bad, but it was my wedding and I didn't want any strangers there. Am I the asshole?
Okay. I understand not having a stranger at your wedding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But from her point of view, she didn't kick them out. She didn't kick them out. She kicked his date out. Despite him probably not wanting to travel alone across states.
It's not that hard as an adult.
True.
But also, okay, so I get it from everywhere. Like, that guy, he did the right thing by going with the date and not just being like, okay, see ya. Since you can't be here, deuces, bye. Travel back to the hotel by yourself in a different state. He did the right thing, but at the same time, he kind of got butthurt because he didn't come back. He should have come back to support his friend. He shouldn't have, just not gone altogether.
Imagine how the date feels, for example.
Okay, but she damn well knows that, why are you there?
Yeah, that is true. I
wouldn't show up to a wedding.
If I was just not even invited to a wedding, I was told by a friend, I'd feel skeptical about going, if I'm honest, because one, I wasn't invited. Two, I don't really know the people. I only know the person who I'm going with.
Yeah, you didn't even go to the wedding that you were invited to, and I was the only person you knew.
I don't think she's
the wife.
The wife. Sorry, yeah. I don't think the wife is the asshole.
I think she did it in the right manner. I mean, honestly, though, I would have probably if it were you and me, I would have been like, "Hey, Ben, who the hell is this? Let's kick them out." Instead of just doing it, I think a wedding isn't just about the woman; it's about the both of them. You should have spoken about that.
It's not just her wedding too, it's the husband's wedding as well. She was just making it perfect for herself to some degree when
she really was.
She could have just thought about it from another perspective, being like, look, this is my husband's friend. Fair enough. Yes, he's not actually brought his girlfriend or the original +1, but he still had an extra +1. He still had an extra +1 despite that person, not being invited.
I feel like she would have just got pissed that she went out of her way to get that +1 and then now it's wasted. You know what I mean? She would have backhandled that shit some way.
Yeah, and although the new +1, for example, they didn't really do anything wrong. They kind of just showed up despite them, despite them not being invited. They didn't really do anything. They could have had a conversation, get to know them. Do you know what I mean? And then they could have become friends out of that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always the best friends come spontaneous. Cool. But yeah, no, I don't think she's the asshole. I do.
I think the husband could be handling it better and not having a tantrum their first 2 weeks of being married. That's horrible way to start a marriage. I wish you both the best of luck with that.
I'm going to stick with what I originally said. I think she is the asshole, although she, at the end of the day, she needs to think about it's not just about herself, it's about her husband as well. And that's what she needs to think about going forward.
I think she's the asshole, but not because of kicking the person out, just for not thinking about the husband. I think that's it. Like, she could have done it all differently.
No, that is true. That is true. Okay. So what's your
verdict? Is asshole,
verdict?
Yeah.
Asshole as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so our next story today will be...
Our next story. Am I the asshole for telling my family they can't use Spanish on Christmas Day, or my husband and I are not coming?
What?
I mean, I'll give this story a shot, but so far, my female 35 family is Mexican and we live in Texas. I believe that's Texas, right? TX?
Yeah.
Everyone in my family is bilingual and they tend to mix English and Spanish constantly. My siblings' spouses, have all learned some Spanish, some better, some worse, but they can still participate in all conversations. I've been with my husband for 10 years. He took a few classes, but he found it too difficult and decided that he can't learn a language as it's his thing, just like maths isn't his thing, and he dropped it. So anything he fails at, he drops?
Okay. No effort. Just kidding, but like kind of.
Yeah. Each to their own, each to their own.
Hey, would you learn Korean?
I'd love to. That'd be quite cool.
Let's do it together. I mean, didn't we already talk? Anyway.
You've taught me a few stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do you remember?
We're getting sidetracked.
Do you remember though?
Maybe.
You don't. Okay.
Every family gathering, there are lots of them. He feels left out because everyone switches back and forth and he doesn't understand them. I have to translate for him and it really must be uncomfortable for him. This year he said that he's not coming. He feels excluded and even when he talks with non-Mexican spouses, they mix and match languages and he felt it's to mock him because there's no need to. I called my mother and told her that they must promise to not speak Spanish because it's excluding my husband or we're not coming. My mother was angry. She told me they're not going to police their speech, that they were accommodating for the first few years, but he's made no effort and it's ridiculous that he doesn't even try. I told her that he did try, but she knows it's difficult for him. She said that he's no longer invited and I can come on my own. I was really angry and repeated my ultimatum. This didn't go down well. My whole family is pissed off. My husband is on my side and I don't know anymore. Am I the asshole for giving them the ultimatum? Yes and no. Okay.
I say no. I don't think so. I think that the family should be accommodating to English. You're in America. No offense to anybody that speaks any foreign languages, but you're in America. English is the first language. Yeah. You should be nice to, not like nice, but you know what I mean? Like you should be accommodating to those who don't speak your language. It's harder for some than others to learn a foreign language. And it's not, he doesn't need to because he's not Hispanic. Yeah. He doesn't need to learn Spanish.
No.
It's not that he tried. That's the part. He did try, but some people would be insulted if he did. A white man learning Spanish, like some people could be very insulted by that. So no matter what, like he didn't need to try, but he did try. But the family doesn't need to be an ass just because it's taken him 10 years and he still doesn't know how to speak.
That's true. But at the same time, despite him finding it difficult, although he has made an effort before, which I can understand it, not everyone picks up language like that. Okay, language is hard, or especially if it's not your first language. But he could also give it another shot. Mm-hmm. For example, by the character that they've built up of their own husband, it seems like he quits a lot of projects when it gets hard, which is not the right ethic to have, especially in this situation because. Yeah, the family could be more accommodating, but they said that they've been accommodating him for at least the first 2 years, and then that's when they've started switching it and mixing it. But if I'm at a party, let's say, or a Christmas gathering, if I'm at something, put it that way, and your whole family are speaking in a different language, and I don't know that language, bear in mind, I've already had a few courses and I've tried to learn that language and I feel excluded. Personally, I think that's on me because I failed to learn the language. Okay, you don't need to learn all the language, just the basics. Okay, because then you can always mix and match, change, and such. I would feel excluded, but I would put that down to myself, not because you're talking in a different language. You do what you want to do, but at the same time, that's on me. I need to learn that and pick it up.
I don't think that falls on you though. If you're bilingual, you know both. Why not just use the one? It does fall on you if if I solely only spoke Korean, then if you really want to communicate with me, you're gonna learn Korean. But if I'm bilingual, why would I speak to you only in Korean? That would be excluding you on purpose when I can very easily use English to accommodate you. When it's, okay, I don't see, listen, like they don't have to speak Spanish. Like when the guy's around, they can speak English when he's around. He's around for what? Like Christmas is, you're only together for like 4 hours, maybe more.
Yeah.
4 hours of English, not very hard. Not very hard to do.
I understand where you're coming from. I understand both sides really. So,
I don't think they're the asshole. That's why.
But at the same time, I don't think that she's the asshole for giving her family an ultimatum because, she's just looking out for her husband at the end of the day.
Just looking out for the husband.
Despite the family being bilingual and they can speak both, I guess it's a bit rude and disrespectful to the fact that, they can speak English, but they choose not to, I would see that as, they're mocking me because, or,
I don't think they're mocking him.
Not necessarily mocking him, but they're not going to understand that. He's not going to understand that. So they could be saying certain stuff and he may not know what they're saying. So I understand both. But again, I don't think that she's the asshole for giving the family an ultimatum.
I don't really think either are the asshole. The family's just trying to do what's comfortable for them. Great. She's just trying to look out for her husband and keep him comfortable, which... Yeah, like I would do what I can to make sure that you're comfortable in my household and you don't feel like you're being excluded or anything. Like that's how I was raised. It's just the way it is.
Well, that's fair enough. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this episode.
Follow us on our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We have other social media platforms, Apple and Spotify podcast as well.
We have other formats available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. They're going to be out each week in the form of video. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello.